Xi Jinping loses ground in tariff war. CIA videos may spark mass defections. Let's say suggestion via a channel member. Let's go ahead and jump into this video immediately, guys.
Amidst the ongoing US-China trade tensions, the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, made an unprecedented move on May 1st by releasing two Mandarin-language videos aimed at encouraging defections from Chinese Communist Party CCP officials.
Show the video.
According to sources with inside knowledge of the CCP, this bold tactic could either trigger a major defection of high-ranking officials or attract the attention of two specific groups. The first video targets CCP senior officials that the US intelligence community believes might be open to dialogue. Many of these officials have witnessed their colleagues fall from power, face imprisonment, or even disappear without a trace. In the video, the CIA exposes the intense infighting within the CCP top ranks, seeking to recruit officials who wish to change their fate or secure a safe future for themselves and their families. The video concludes with a message urging them to take control of your own destiny.
Okay.
The second video is aimed at lower-level CCP officials who often face limited career advancements, with their work primarily benefiting a small elite within the government. The video appeals to those who feel their labor is being exploited for the benefit of others. It ends with a message that emphasizes personal agency. Heaven helps those who help themselves. Your fate is in your hands.
Okay, so guys, normally I'm absolutely against well, no, not normally. I'm always against the concept of like propaganda, but like the amount of propaganda that basically comes out of China, guys, it's crazy, guys. Like, and I'm not to say that we do not do the same exact thing. We do. I would say Hollywood basically pushes our westernized propaganda out towards the world. Let's say here, guys, right? I don't feel bad at all about this, right? I was expecting, seeing the videos, things were going to be moderately disrespectful. They weren't. They weren't, guys. But let's continue. Let's see where this takes us, guys. As of right now, I'm moderately indifferent in regards to this video.
CIA Director John Ratcliffe expressed confidence that these videos would bypass the Great Firewall and reach informed individuals within China.
It would.
The Chinese government has yet to comment on the CIA's video, and the Ministry of State Security, which has been usually active in recent years, have also remained silent.
How could they even comment
A
based
former
off of
Chinese
what they
businessman and author of Red Roulette named Shen Dong commented on the X platform that under Xi Jinping's leadership, political loyalty has become the core pillar, with loyalty to the party now taking precedence over professional abilities. In this context, the CIA calls for defection strikes directly at the CCP's core fear of internal betrayal, sending a signal far stronger than any tariff. Host of Crossroads of the World, Tang Hao described the CIA's public defection campaign as a clever psychological tactic. He believes it will intensify distrust and caution among CCP officials, leading to more infighting, misjudgments, defections, and internal divisions.
It will, 100%.
A media personality on the X platform, Jiang Fen, wrote that the CIA moves is far more effective than discussions of Western values, as it directly penetrates the hearts of CCP.
You are not disloyal. You're just afraid of deletion. Oh my God.
Senior officials. You are not disloyal. You are just afraid of death. Taiwanese media personality Wang Hao noted that there has been a wave of dismissals and disappearances among the CCP and military leadership recently, which has caused widespread fear. He believes that the CIA's decision to publicly call for defections is highly unusual and seems to be aimed at exacerbating internal suspicions within the CCP. This, he argues, will make Xi Jinping even more distrustful of the senior officials and his secretariat. A scholar exiled in Australia, Yuan Hongbing, has connections to CCP's second-generation Reds, a term for descendants of prominent Communist Party leaders and officials purged by Xi Jinping. He believes the CIA release of this defection video marks a strategic shift by the US government. It signals a departure from the previous appeasement policy of not seeking to change China's political system. Under the Trump administration, the US understands to eliminate the global expansion of communist authoritarianism and to secure national security, a solution should be to encourage the democratic transformation of China from within. Yuan further explained that after Xi Jinping took power, he concentrated dictatorial power emulating Mao Zedong, and launched a massive anti-corruption campaign that led to numerous enemies. Yuan believes the CIA defection video will appeal to two main groups. First, officials who have been purged, many of whom still have relatives in the CCP system. They hate Xi Jinping and would be willing to take risks to harm him. The second group consists of officials who fear Xi Jinping's aggressive foreign policy and the potential for conflict over Taiwan, which threatens their overseas assets.
Yeah, guys, things are getting absolutely spicy on this planet. Okay, if you guys are following the story, I can't actually. A couple of you guys have actually sent me the videos regarding India and Pakistan today. I cannot put that on this channel. They monitor it a little bit too deeply here, let's say. But there's a lot of things happening. The South China Sea, the infighting specifically in the CCP in Beijing, and then obviously our tariff kerfuffle with China. Right, there's a lot of things happening, and it's starting to kind of get a little dicey on my end, at least. It's starting to feel a little unfortunate because this just definitely feels like a precursor to something a lot larger that none of us are obviously hoping for.
These officials are eager to establish connections with the US, Japan, and Europe to safeguard their private property. Yuan also pointed to a political force within China led by figures such as Hu Dengping, the son of former CCP General Secretary Hu Yaobang, and Liu Yuan, the son of former President Liu Shaoqi. These individuals aim to push for China's democratization. Another faction represented by Deng Pufan, the son of China's former chairman Deng Xiaoping, and Chen Yuan, the son of the former second most powerful CCP leader Chen Yun, advocates for a return to Deng Xiaoping's reform and opening policy, focusing on economic liberalization and diplomacy. Yuan concludes that both factions hope to prevent Xi Jinping's re-election at the 21st Party Congress. However, as an intelligence agency, the CIA lacks the political influence to mobilize them. He believes that if the US government truly wants to dismantle the CCP regime from within, it should issue a summon through the US Congress. If this happens, Yuan believes that it will trigger a powerful political upheaval in China. When President Trump officially began his second term earlier this year, the US and China immediately plunged into a fierce tariff war. The US imposed a 145% tariff on most Chinese goods, while China retaliated with a 125% tariff on US imports. China initially vowed to fight to the end, even releasing videos that said, "We will not kneel." However, with the domestic economy taking a major hit, there have been recent signs that China may be backing down. Director Miles,
guys, they have to. All right, like if you just look at what the actual people, the ones who are not in any type of government, are actually saying, you'll realize instantly that, guys, there were issues before this happened. Like the last thing that needed to happen was another thing that could harm the economy of China, guys. Right? Like there were already people, massive amount of people here, okay, that was not getting paid for the labor that they were actually doing. So now imagine, now there's no more work in some places, guys. Like major cities that are exclusively created to basically just export to the United States of America, orders are down, manufacturing jobs, factory labor jobs are starting to get a little rare to encounter out there, guys, right? So the last thing that needed to happen was this. And so Xi Jinping is absolutely in power exclusively because he had the ability to procure work and finances for the people of China. All right. And now look at what's going on. He's going to have to 100% come to the table and have a discussion. It is important. It is imperative for his country, guys. But him being stubborn is not really beneficial. This is why I'm sitting here saying things can get really bad really fast in this very specific scenario we're encountering here.
Of the China Center at the Hudson Institute recently assessed the situation in the US-China tariff war. He believes that as China relies heavily on the US, it cannot win a tariff war either in theory or in practice.
It can't.
He pointed out that CCP's biggest flaw is its stubbornness. For example, Xi Jinping ordered all Chinese airlines to refuse parts and services from Boeing, even canceling aircraft orders. But Xi himself flies on a Boeing 747. If China completely stopped receiving Boeing parts and services, Xi would have to fly on China's C919 aircraft, something he likely would not dare to. You concluded that the
That says a
CCP is not
lot.
only corrupt.
Like, guys, I always found it incredibly odd when a head of state would not use specifically a vehicle or something made in their own country. That's always moderately concerning here for me. Let me know in the comments if that's a similar thing for you. I know a lot of African nations specifically use like German vehicles and not their own, and some of their cars are equally as impressive, guys.
But also foolish. They're just shooting themselves in the foot. You also discussed the potential consequences if China were to use military force against Taiwan, predicting that it would escalate into a full-on war and the US will
It
inevitably
would.
get
100%.
involved. He said if the
100%.
situation in Taiwan becomes a stalemate and China cannot afford to continue with widespread domestic resistance and economic problems, even if nationalism is high, do you really believe there won't be internal resistance when war breaks out? You explained that the CIA release of videos encouraging CCP officials to defect is a significant blow to the regime, as the CCP's political system is highly corrupt. Former legal advisor to
It's a
the Inner
powder
Mongolia
keg.
government, Du Wen, who now lives in exile in Europe, also commented on the growing dissatisfaction within the CCP towards Xi Jinping. Most party members are angry but afraid to speak out, though they still have to praise him publicly. Du believes the CIA's video offers a way out for the CCP officials. Since the CCP's so-called reform and opening up, there have been several ways of officials defecting. In 2011, state media reported that nearly 4,000 Chinese officials had fled in the past 30 years, taking an average of 100 million yuan each. In recent years, however, official defections have been linked to Xi Jinping's political purges. To prevent further defections, the government has confiscated official passports under the guise of national security and even targeted teachers.
Wow.
Du stated that the CCP is currently conducting a thorough investigation of high-ranking officials, examining who has children overseas and what foreign connections they have. He believes that if the CIA properly resettle the families of these officials, a large number of CCP senior officials will likely come to surrender.
Yeah.
He said many officials now keep their money at home or in rental properties. They cannot take their wealth or their children out of the country. Getting a passport or visa is extremely difficult. It's hard to get money out, but it's even harder to get people out.
Yeah, guys, because the problem is that regardless of how much money you have, you can only buy or convert a certain, like a very finite amount of money yearly into US dollar, specifically coming from the yuan.
It's extremely difficult. It's hard to get money out, but it's even harder to get people
like
out.
$55,000.
The technical operations here is extremely difficult. Du also pointed out that although many CCP officials have moved their children and money to the US in previous years, they are now deliberately...
Oh, guys, really quickly, I'm not making it seem like 55,000 is a little bit of money, but for these officials, they're absolutely incredibly wealthy, right? So them trying to convert whatever their massive sum of funds is nearly impossible because they can't do it all at once. Gold would absolutely be smarter, guys.
Have moved their children and money to the US in previous years, they are now deliberately avoiding the US. He says, I've been in contact with a relative of a few department level officials who fled. They all went to Australia, New Zealand, or Canada. I've asked them why they didn't go to the US, and they said it was too sensitive right now, among other reasons. Chinese affairs expert Yue Shan believes that given the current situation, US intelligence agencies should strengthen cooperation with Western allies in receiving information from CCP defectors. Global attention is currently focused on the US-China tariff war, but behind the scenes, political struggles within the CCP are also influencing the Taiwan issue, which in turn impacts the direction of US-China relations. Taiwan scholar Shen Mingxi stated that China's military can now be divided into two factions regarding Taiwan. The hawks who actively want to use force against Taiwan, and the doves who believe China is not yet capable of confronting the US. The faction advocating for military action against Taiwan mainly seeks to fulfill Xi Jinping's goals of resolving the Taiwan issue. Shen believes that those who have been arrested, such as He Weidong and Miao Hua, are closer to Xi Jinping. They were part of the original Hawk faction, now targeted by Xi's purges, which has allowed Zhang Youxiao's faction to gain more position. But he also warned that the Hawk faction is an effort to shift focus, many escalate military tensions in a way that could cause instability. Shen Mingxi also pointed out that the intensifying internal power struggles within the CCP provide an opportunity for international anti-communist forces like the CIA to exploit this moment and absorb members of the CCP's military, gaining insight into the internal dynamics of China's military.
That's the last thing they want.
He said, during past Taiwan Strait crisis, Taiwan obtained valuable missile test information from the Chinese military through General Liu Lianqun, which neutralized China's effort to intimidate Taiwan. Therefore, besides the CIA, Taiwan should also actively work to absorb intelligence from within China's military to counter its threats to Taiwan. Liu Lianqun is a former deputy head of the CCP General Logistic Department and a major general. He began working as a covert agent for Taiwan's Ministry of National Defense in 1992. Liu conducted secret intelligence operations in China and was the first person to hold the rank of major general in both Taiwan and China. During the Taiwan Strait missiles crisis, he provided key intelligence to Taiwan's military, helping them understand the bottom line of the PLA's plan and allowing for immediate responses. However, Liu was arrested in 1999 and later executed after his cover was blown.
Of course he was.
Independent commentator Du Zhen
I mean, guys, that was a mandatory ending of that story.
Recently published an article in Taiwanese media sharing his findings from interviews on the topic of unifying Taiwan. One response he received came from a man in his 60s in Wuhan who lamented that not only was the economy in China struggling, but also people were living in misery, not just because of wealth, but due to political oppression. He said that when people are oppressed and have no place to speak up, they feel trapped. He added that if he had the chance, he would do anything to leave the country. When discussing the CCP's official push,
guys, hence the reason why there were so many people from China that were hitting our southern border while Biden was in office
to fight Taiwan, the Wuhan man said that even when he was younger, he would not have helped the CCP in his regard. He also noted that in casual conversations, people from lower social classes often curse the Communist Party. He believes that if the US and China went to war, many people would help the US military, and he considers himself one of them. This brings to mind the events of August 1900, when the Eight-Nation Alliance landed in Tianjin and marched towards Beijing. Many common people in China helped the alliance by guiding them, just as the Qing dynasty royal family and officials fled for their lives. Du Zhen believes that this behavior stems from the fact that the government does not care for the people, treating them as enemies and using moral rhetoric to control them. This was a symbol of the Qing dynasty's decline, which ultimately led to its collapse.
Yeah, that's incredibly valid. I think J.D. Vance also said something similar to that. But he was basically crucified for the most part here, guys. I mean, I get it. I mean, the words that he used was peasant. That obviously has some type of negative connotation. But the problem is that I think by all definition, that's how Beijing treats its people.
Collapsed about 11 years later.
Specifically,
today, Chinese public sentiment has also shifted, and the CCP faces a situation reminiscent of the Qing dynasty last days. The question remains, can the CCP survive another decade? The political situation in China is becoming increasingly strange. On one side, there is the ongoing US-China tariff war, and on the other, there are ongoing signs of Xi Jinping losing power. On April 21st, Singapore's former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong's wife, Ho Ching, shared an article on Facebook that mocked Xi Jinping as a gang leader. She was later exposed for sharing an earlier article analyzing the Trump administration's presence tactic on the CCP, which included a photo of Xi Jinping sitting alone, wearing a mask in Wuhan during the pandemic in March 2020. This has been seen as one of the signals coming from within Beijing itself. Ho Ching has close ties with many senior CCP officials. Many observers believe that her actions have received tacit approval from some within the CCP leaders, suggesting strong anti-Xi forces are backing her. This has led to speculations about Xi's instability. Independent commentator Cai Shen-kun stated that Xi Jinping's powers base is showing signs of fragmentation. Another sign came when Hong Kong richest man Li Ka-shing also showed disdain for Xi Jinping. On March 4th, Li Ka-shing's Chen Kong Group announced that it had reached a preliminary agreement to sell about 80% of its port assets to BlackRock and Mediterranean Shipping for $22.8 billion US. The deal includes ports in 23 countries covering 43 ports, including 2 ports on the Panama Canal. This is one of the largest port sales in recent years. The CCP expressed strong dissatisfaction with the deal, continuously criticizing and warning Chen Kong, even trying to block it with anti-monopoly laws. The CCP-affiliated Hong Kong newspaper Tai Kun Pao has been criticizing Li Ka-shing for over a month, but neither Li nor Chen Kong have responded. Reports suggest that Chen Kong plans to split its overseas port assets into two parts, and the transaction is continuing. On May 1st, Ta Kun Pao reported that after the CCP Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the State Administration for Market Regulation issued warnings, Chen Kong Holdings ignored them, saying that in addition to anti-monopoly laws, it could also use national security laws if necessary. Chen Kong has not publicly responded, effectively choosing silent resistance.
Yeah, under no circumstance respond publicly.
Australian scholar
Like specifically if you like your life.
Yuan Hongbing, citing sources within the CCP system, said that Xi Jinping personally initiated a large-scale campaign to criticize Li Ka-shing. Yuan believes that Li's defiance is due to strong support from wealthy families within the CCP who are dissatisfied with Xi. Independence commentator Du Jin believes that Li Ka-shing's tough stance against Xi Jinping and Ho Qing's fearlessness towards the CCP are significant. Both are well-known figures outside mainland China, and their actions not only signal a rejection of Xi and the CCP internationally, but will also shake the CCP internally, challenging Xi Jinping's authority. At the CCP's 20th National Congress, Xi's faction took full control and Xi appeared to hold immense power. However, with the economy continuing to decline and growing discontent within China, internal struggles within the CCP are intensifying. In the ongoing power struggle, Xi's foreign policy ally Qin Gang was the first to be removed. Following this, several senior commanders in the rocket force, which Xi personally outsaw, were also dismissed. Last November, the top official overseeing military personnel, Mao Hua, was confirmed to have been purged. CCP Central Military Commission Vice Chairman He Weidong has not been seen since his last public appearance on March 11th at the National People's Congress. Multiple reports suggest He Weidong has been removed and has been under investigation.
And disappeared.
Political analyst Chen Po-kong believes that He Weidong, Mao Hua, and others who were closely tied to Xi Jinping are being purged as part of a broader effort by Zhang Youxia, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, to limit.
Yeah, guys, they're just trying to get out the naysayers. This is absolutely ridiculous, guys. Like, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life happening within a government. I suppose you guys understand this. This is why I'm like quiet here. I'm dumbfounded.
Effort by Zhang Youxia, vice chairman of the Central Military Commission, to eliminate Xi's influence within the military. Since 2023, Xi Jinping's military-industrial faction has collapsed, with several top officials in military-industrial enterprises being purged, including Wu Yanshen, former chairman of China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, and Liu Shiquan, former chairman of Norinco Group. Missing officials such as Jing Zhanglong, Minister of Industry and IT, and Lei Fanpei, Executive Deputy Director of the Central Military Civil Fusion Office, are also from the military-industrial system. Jing's position as minister has already been replaced by Li Lenchen. Xi Jinping already told the party years ago, "I think the only force that can defeat us is ourselves. There is no other enemy." Chen Po-kong believes this is because Xi knows that his true enemy is not overseas but within China, not outside the party but inside. Now that enemy is within his own faction.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that you can't be defeated, right? I'm not, I'm trying to throw dirt on the wound here, guys, but if you are running your government with like an iron fist and making people disappear, people are basically yes men, and if they say anything else, then you're just going to make them disappear. Guys, imagine for a second, all right? Yeah, you're not going to have friends in your industry, like in your government, bro. You're not going to have friends. They're not going to back you. Like, all they're doing is waiting for something to happen so you can go away and they can live their lives safely without the threat of being disappeared. That's what it sounds like. That seems to be the running thing. Everyone disappears, guys. Like, imagine all of your like a good amount of your top people just disappeared. How did that happen? Right? How did that happen? It sounded like during the Chernobyl incident, guys. Right? It sounded like when the KGB basically came in and just started packing people up that tried to tell the truth. Right? That's what it sounds like. Okay, is that why they're allies, guys? I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to throw too much dirt on their name, guys. I've been in China multiple times. I have no problem with China like that, right? But just okay, this is a crazy one here. You cannot, under any circumstance, run a government like this. All right, you can't. But all right, guys, listen. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe.